Good afternoon. We're ready to call this meeting into order. And let's see. Ms. Hall, could you take roll, please?
Mr. Furlong.
Here.
Mr. Davis, bless you.
Here.
Mr. Costa.
Ran into the wall here.
Here.
I'm here and you're here. I guess we're all here.
Okay. And I had contacted Tristan, our student advisor, and he's not able to be here today. So we're going to get a little bit better about notifying them about the meetings. And okay, so we now move on to approval of minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes for June 7th, 2016 special meeting, June 9th, 2016 special meeting, and June 14th, 2016 special meeting.
So moved. A second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that passes. We move on to the approval of the agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that passes. The agenda is approved. This takes us to the report. The board met in closed executive session from 2:30 p.m. to 3:45 to discuss limited personnel matters to consider applicants for the position of superintendent and discuss applicant qualifications as permitted under Section 10:15(1) H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. No other matters were discussed and no action was taken. So that takes us now to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to introduce Ms. Betsy Geary, who is the Executive Director for our Las Cruces Public Schools Foundation, and she has prepared a short presentation for the board.
Thank you and good afternoon. With me is Dr. Michael Moorhead, who is our Vice President of the Foundation, and he is retired from NMSU, but is also back now working part-time with the new medical school. So he's here to help me out. First of all, we just like to, the foundation would like to salute the foundation and the Board of Education of the Las Cruces Public Schools. Thank you so much for your support, because we couldn't do our job if you weren't here and were supportive of us. So we salute you in everything that you do, because, you know, you work for all the big bucks, right? That other duties is assigned for a volunteer, but thank you so much for what you do for the district. The Las Cruces Public Schools Foundation has a mission, and the mission is very simple. We're here to support the district, the students, the faculty, and the administration of the district. That's our whole job. We partner with the district. We are a separate entity, but the foundation has no other purpose except to work to support the district monetarily. We look for grants, we look for fundraising for ourselves to turn around and support the district. Background of our foundation: we were founded in 1998. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We are independent from the public school, and we do have our own board of directors. These are our board of directors. You can see we have a lot of movers and shakers from the community to help us. Denton Park is our president, who is the CEO of I always want to say Memorial Medical, Mountain View Regional Medical. So make sure I get the right one. And our directors, we do have an additional director, which we just received, Curtis Rosemond, who is a retired Walmart manager and is the president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, has joined us. But why do we exist? Okay, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I just want to go over it quickly. You have about 25,000 students. 66% are identified as poverty level. 2/3 of our kiddos are poverty level. The economy has a huge impact on education. As you know, if our state doesn't do well, there's just not enough money here for kiddos. Where do we stand in New Mexico? Every study that you look at that ranks education for New Mexico ends up as 48th, 49th, or 50th, and that in no way reflects what's happening in schools. And that's just a travesty. But those are the national studies that come out. When you look at a major portion of that is the per capita that is given to students from the state. We rank in the bottom third of the amount of money that comes to us. But then when you turn around, the thing that they don't look at, we rank in the top third in the amount of money, of the percentage of the state budget that goes to education. So there's a huge amount of the state budget that comes to education. It's not a big state budget when you look at all the other states. So the money that gets to us for kiddos isn't a lot. That's what happens. That economy impact is big. You know, we all sit here and go, ooh, $2 a gallon at the pump, we're happy. The state's not so happy about that because that's where our major funding comes from. The other part of it is budget cuts. State of New Mexico has that balanced budget amendment. And so where they give us money at the beginning of the year, if their projections, or if their revenue doesn't match their projections come December, they come back and take it away. Well, that's really hard for a school district. You know, what do? Go, okay, kids, we were going to give you this kind of an education, but now we can't because we don't have that money. We don't have that option. We just cut what we have to cut and keep on going. Budget cuts. I don't think in the last 20 years that I've worked in education, I have ever had a year where somebody came to me and said, woohoo, we got extra money. We have budget cut every year. And I hate when people say, well, you have to trim the fat, get rid of the frills. There aren't any. We're done. So budget cuts are just a matter of course in our lives now. That's our state funding. That's why we exist, because we are here to make up for some of that, because we attack the private sector, not the public sector. We go after third-party grants. We go after funding from other sources that we can turn around and then give back into the classrooms. That's our job. What do we do with our money? These are our major projects. We do teacher grants, we do outside grants that we bring in, we do our Celebration of Excellence dinner, we do scholarships, and we are partnered with Comcast Cares Day. Teacher grants. This last year, we did over $28,000 went directly into our classrooms in teacher grants. When I was in high school, when I was teaching, if somebody told me there was a mini grant, it was between $250 and $500. You can't do a whole lot. That's not what this foundation does. Our grants are between $1,000 and $5,000. You can do a lot with that kind of money in a classroom. Our teacher grants are open right now, and we will present them again at your October board meeting. In the existence of the program, we have given over $192,000 directly into classrooms with the Las Cruces Public Schools. Outside grants. The grants we wrote last year are coming to fruition for this year. We have a $49,000 Stalker grant, which is for professional development of early literacy for pre-K, kinder, and first grade teachers, which I'm working with Janet Candelaria to implement. Our Enchanted Life Foundation, they're going to support us for $5,000. They want to support one STEM grant within the Las Cruces Public Schools. And the El Paso Electric, we've asked for $5,000 to support our teacher grants. Our Celebration of Excellence dinner, that's one of those frills. Well, it's really not. You have to be able to recognize excellence if you want people to know what you're doing. If we don't want everybody to say, well, schools are terrible. Well, they're not. There are amazing things that are happening. And so that's one of the things that we take on. We do our Celebration of Excellence dinner. We get sponsors to sponsor it, so it's free. Those teachers, those kiddos, everybody that we recognize, we pay for that. And so we recognize the Las Cruces Public Schools Teacher of the Year, the Teacher of the Year finalists, the Sandra Nakamura Development Excellence Award, our National Board Certified Teachers, our National Merits semifinalists and finalists, and our National Hispanic Scholars. That's what we do. We make sure that those kiddos and those teachers get recognized. Scholarships, we're giving out 7 scholarships. They're between $500 and $2,000. So we have a lot of scholarships that we go out and we find endowments for, and we find what we call donor-advised funds to set up. The SAVE scholarship for $1,500 and $1,000, that's the Picacho Middle School Quilters Association. That's what they do. Every time they meet, they donate money and bring it in, and have set up a donor-advised fund. $40 a piece to help do this, and they can give out 2 scholarships. That's what we go out and find. Comcast Cares for Comcast Cable of New Mexico. We partner with them. They select one school each year, an elementary school or a middle school, and we go out and beautify. We paint, we dig up playgrounds, we help bring in new stuff, we bring in new plants, we do all kinds of things at the schools. Last year it was Fair Acres. But the biggest part about that, not only do we bring in between 700 and 1,000 volunteers for one day to work on that, but Comcast matches money for us to support that program, and then for every volunteer, they bring us money. We don't know what we got at Fair Acres, but the year before that, when we did Jornada, they donated $18,000 to the district. $9,000 went to the foundation, and $9,000 went directly to the school, plus all the materials, plus everything that we've done to them. These are our endowments that we have. We continue to work to create more endowments. The League of Women Voters, the Bonnie Byrne, that's our newest endowment. It's for a scholarship fund. But all of this takes effort. And so how do we get people to help us out? One, we just asked to donate. Become a sponsor of one of our projects. Payroll deduction. Help us through the actual employees of the district. We presented to the new employees, and 2 of them that day brought their payroll deduction. So, every little bit helps. We asked for $2 a pay period. That's all we ask. If everybody could do that, we'd be amazing. Bank with Citizens Bank. If you bank with Citizens, you pick the LCPS Foundation debit card, and every time it's swiped, it's 5 cents. To tell you the truth, it was hard for me to go out and do this because I bank with First Light. And so today, I opened up a Citizens bank account so that I can get a LCPS Foundation debit card so I can help support this way too. Last, shop smile.amazon. Amazon.com has a huge portion of their website that goes to the nonprofits. The first time, instead of just going to Amazon, if you do, you go to smile.amazon.com. First time you log in, they will ask you to pick a nonprofit. Look for Las Cruces Public Schools Foundation. We're there. And then every time you buy one of the eligible purchases, they will donate 5% to the foundation. Doesn't cost you anything. So there are lots of ways to help.
Betsy?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question? And I just don't remember. I saw a report from the Citizens Bank for the nickel swipe. Do you remember the amount that some of our middle schools got as a result of that?
I don't I don't know
Okay.
how much individual schools get, because ours is separate. We get a check quarterly for about $350, or to $350 to $700, depending on how much. But I know the one to the schools is much bigger.
It is much bigger. It was a couple of $1,000s actually, and you think for a nickel swipe, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I'll get that information for the board and send it to you.
thank you.
Sorry.
Got to be. So, what is our challenge for 2016, 2017? Every time I write a grant, they ask me, what percentage of your board of directors actually personally donate? And I'm proud to be able to say 100% of our board of directors donate. But Every one of us in this room, everyone sitting up on that dais, every person here has a vested interest in what happens in this school district. And so my challenge is not only, I've already gotten our 100% of our foundation directors, but I'd like to see 100% of the Las Cruces Public Schools Board of Education donate and support us. Again, we're not asking for much. We'll take $5, we'll take $2, but be able to say that every one of the Board of Education members supports the foundation because of what we do. And I'm going to present to the administrators. I'd like to be able to say that 100% of the Las Cruces Public Schools administrators supports the foundation, because none of this money goes anywhere else. You know, our overhead is teeny tiny. They're me. They have me as a part-time executive director. That's it. Every other penny of what they raise goes right back into the school district. In teacher grants, in our recognitions, that's all we do. In writing those grants, that's what we do. You get a free grant writer, because I'm not able to just go out and say, I'm gonna write a grant for this. It has to be something that the district wants, and then I write the grant and go out and find it. What you have in front of you in your notebook is all of this information, who we are, information about our teacher grants, our scholarships, Comcast. You have a little paper that talks even about the Citizens Bank and their debit card. You've got our brochure. You've got our celebration of excellence. It's the how can I help you that I'd like to point you towards. If you flip it over on the back, there's your form. That's your challenge today. All you have to do, sign this, fill it out. You can earmark for the project that you want, if you want to. If you want specifically for your money to go to teacher grants, if you want your money specifically go to a scholarship, you can earmark it for that. Otherwise, just leave that blank, and then what you give us goes to everything that we do. But that's what I'm asking for you to do today, is to fill this out and just get it back to me. You can write a check, you can give me your credit card information. It's amazing to me what this foundation does. When I worked in Isleta, they had a huge foundation, but all they did was scholarships. They were big scholarships. They were $5,000 and $10,000 scholarships for 4 years, but they had a lot more money to go after. I'm proud of what this foundation does, and I'm so excited about what they do for kids, that it's not just those who are going to graduate and go away. It's what's happening in that classroom, and that's where I think the real change comes, where we can support those teachers in the classroom. So that's my challenge for you, is to fill out that form for me and get it back to me.
That's
Is
it?
there anyone else who would like to ask any questions or anything
Yes.
else?
There's mine. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you.
May I say that Betsy works hard, but I have never been on a board that has members who work as hard as the members on the board of the foundation. Everybody there works. There are committees, and everybody functions on the committee to which they have chosen to belong, and from development all the way through, everybody has a job and they do it.
And Barbara is our ex officio member who serves on our board, and it is amazing to what she does for us, and it's absolutely true. I've never worked with a board that has that many people that they all work. Usually you have a board of 15 or 18 and you got 3 that are doing all the work, but these people go out and actually do the physical work to get the scholarships, to get the people in. Dr. Moorhead is one of the prime examples of that. He already has, said, oh, we could do this and we could do that, and we're going to go out and find that. Curtis Rosemond, who is our newest board member, has already worked with the new Walmart, and they're giving us $2,000 as a donation. So, it's amazing what our board does. Any other questions?
Board members, any questions or comments? Okay.
No, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes your interim superintendent's update.
Be sure to give.
Yes,
I saw
yes.
one blue sheet, we need to see 5, actually, we need to see 10, because we passed out 10 forms.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and continued success with your work. Okay, so then that takes us to
Instruction.
instruction and Erlinda Martinez.
Madam Chair, board members, I've asked Ms. Wendy Hammond to give you an update on the recruitment for the Student Advisory Committee.
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, President Flores, members of the board, Dr. Sanchez. Good afternoon. The principals have been working very diligently to get these students identified, and students shared their interest, with their teacher and their principal, and there has been a series of application processes and interviews happening at each school. And this is the update that I have to date. I have made this small Excel sheet in our OneDrive so that principals have access to it. I told them that I would be the one to upkeep it, but they certainly are welcome to go in and change anything they need to. And so they all were very excellent at getting back to me today, and I talked to a couple of them on the phone because they were kind of busy and couldn't get to email, but I called each one to find out what they needed. And then I'm ready to share this with Tristan, too, if you feel that's something I could do to let him know what the progress is so far. So I stand for questions.
Thank you for moving this forward. It just seems like it's another lifetime that we met and we talked about this. It just goes by so quickly. I'm glad to see that 4 schools have completed and the others are in progress. So we should have somebody, or at least Tristan, on the dais for the 20th.
Yes, because I believe that one of the things you talked to with Tristan was to have him continue as interim president
Right.
until the new group got to know each other a little bit and
Right.
could elect someone new.
Will there be a meeting the day before, that evening?
Yes, I've reserved conference room B for them. Conference room A was not available, so I have that available for Tristan and his group starting at 6 p.m.
Okay. So that'll be on the 19th at 6 p.m.
Yes, that Monday evening before.
Okay. And board members, if you want to go to those meetings, if you'll just let us know when they are. They're usually the Monday before the board meeting. You can meet the kids or just go in and sit and chat with them, okay? Thank you very much.
You're
Ms.
welcome.
Hammond.
Thank you for letting me help.
Good work. Okay, and that takes us on to board items. I'm not missing anything, am I?
No, you're good.
Okay, new business. We had in our packet, we had the policy EB, Environmental and Safety Program discussion and appointment of, and, well, it was in our packet, the EB, the policy EB, which is basically going back to something that we had talked about. I think the last time we reviewed this policy was in 2015, but there have been issues coming up. A parent that has brought some concerns, especially about Roundup of time of day that they are spraying. And this father actually went all the way to the ped, and he came up with a booklet on best practices for spraying. And so what I have proposed, or what I'm thinking, is that we appoint a temporary committee composed of Mr. Richard Fagerhund, Mr. Takes, our I can't think right now, I'm sorry.
Associate
Bobby-
Superintendent
Bobby
for
Stout.
Operations.
Yes, Mr. Stout, and I think there was a nurse also,
Sandy Pugh.
Sandy Pugh,
And
so.
city people. You can ask
Oh,
them.
yes, and we were gonna ask someone from the not city council, but someone, staff on the city, Las Cruces city, so that we could just do a short temporary review of the policy and of aligning it with this best practices that he put together. And this best practices that he wrote, he actually got it approved by the PED, which is pretty good. So we need to go ahead and align ourselves with that. So I will entertain, does anyone have any questions about that before I go ahead and move on it? Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the appointment of a temporary committee to review the current policy and the study by Richard Fagerhahn in developing an updated policy for Las Cruces Public Schools.
So moved.
Okay, we have a first and
I'll second.
thank you. And all in favor, or do we need a discussion? Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that passes. We have a quick temporary, and I know you don't like committees, but this one was a good thing to do for review. I'm not putting you on it, okay?
Oh, well, good. I'm glad.
But if you say anything, then I will put you on it. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. Okay.
Madam President,
Yes.
just to elaborate, we'll advertise this on our website when this committee is meeting, because there may be other
Yes,
interested
there could be.
citizens who want to come in and make comment about
Good
the
idea.
pesticide issues. So we'll make sure to advertise it broadly.
Yes, and I have brought this up for discussion a couple of times on my sitting here, so I'm all for it. But I will not sit on this committee, okay? Just so you know. All right, and then that takes us on to a proposed work session with the city of Las Cruces, which might be a good time to bring this up as well, what we're doing here, this temporary committee. The proposed dates are Wednesday, October the 5th at 1 p.m. and Wednesday, October the 19th.
What was the second one?
October the 5th at 1 p.m., and I'm gonna look at my calendar. And October the 19th.
We have something at 19th.
Let's see. Do we, October the 19th? Yeah. I think September, how does everybody feel about October the 19th at 1 p.m.?
On October?
October the 19th. Are you good, Ms. Hall?
Yes, that's fine.
Mr.
good.
Frank? Okay. Well, we'll come back. I'm good.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's good? Okay, so we will do it on Wednesday, October the 19th. We have a board meeting the night before, but it's in the afternoon, so that should be good. Okay? The next thing.
Madam President?
Yes.
It's my understanding, as I'm working with the interim city manager, Tina and I will be working with them on the agenda and then giving it to the board for review, but it is really to discuss primarily the community schools initiative, and then perhaps you suggested we should add the pesticide conversation.
There's something else.
Was there another issue?
There may be. I don't.
Was it gun control?
Oh, so, well, we can just say that we support their initiative.
All right.
That's all.
I don't, those were the two that I've heard. If there are other things, let me know.
Yes.
I've had
Mr. Frank.
ongoing correspondence with a community member with regard to the use of school district facilities by the community.
Yes.
Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
That's it. Yes, they want to be able to use at least a couple of gyms or a library. And I think you were reviewing that,
We
weren't
are.
you? Uh-huh.
We actually have that ready to discuss in cabinet, the final version.
And then of course I went and presented to the city council, and they got really excited about that, more so than I wanted them to, but.
All right, so Madam President and members of the board, it's the school district facility use. I remember, thank you, Mr. Frank, the community schools initiative, and our work on the pesticides. Very good, thank you.
Okay, so that takes us on to number 3, discussion for the on order of agenda for the student advisor report. I have received the request that we move it to just be after the superintendent's report. The students that I guess it was one or two students that I talked to, they said that having it after the board member reports, it just kind of gets lost and everybody's ready to go. So, in order to make it a little bit more relevant, they wanted to move it up to after the superintendent's report. Does anyone have any issues with that? No. Okay. No
So,
comments?
so Madam President, members of the board, that would actually become item 3, and then other reports would become item 4.
Okay. Or do you want to put it under other reports? No?
We could actually start it under other reports, number 3, and make that A,
Yes.
and then do each of the division
Yes.
reports
That
after
would be
that,
good.
Madam President?
Yes.
All right.
So that's been changed, and we will let the, Ms. Hammond, you'll let the students know that they are in a new place on the agenda. Okay? All right, very good. Now this takes us on to old business, and we are going to take action to determine the number of qualified applicants to be included in the pool of semifinalists for the position of superintendent. I will entertain a motion to reduce the pool of qualified applicants to a designated number of semifinalists. Anyone want to make a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to move that we reduce the pool of qualified applicants to 5
Okay,
of the original 14.
Second that.
okay, we have a first and a second. Any need for discussion? No? Okay, we should just do a regular vote on this, right? All right, all in favor of reducing the pool of semifinalists to the number 5?
Aye.
All in
Aye.
favor? Aye, so that passes. It's now reduced to 5. The next action is to select the qualified applicants, and I will entertain a motion to select Dr. Frank Chiapati, Gallup, New Mexico, Gregory Ewing, Marietta, Georgia, Gregory Rodriguez from Huntsville, Texas, Dr. Arsenio Romero, Roswell, New Mexico, and Miguel Serrano, El Paso, Texas, as the pool of semifinalists for the position of superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so that passes. We have our semifinalist. The finalist will be announced on September 20th of 2016 at the regular board meeting. Now that takes us on to 3, adoption of New Mexico School Board Association resolutions. Now, I have the whole full folder here. We have exactly 14. Shall we just send them all up, or do you have an issue with any of them before we do?
Madam President, I'd just like to add that Mr. Frank
Yes.
actually asked me to submit an additional
Oh, okay.
resolution. I wrote a resolution for him, and you may want to present it to the board, Mr. Frank.
would
Okay, so
like
that'll
to do
make
that.
it 15?
Let me
All right, okay.
pass this around.
Thank you.
So I'll read, the subject is requesting that the Public Education Department and the New Mexico Legislature consider the efficacy of excluding teacher attendance in the adopted teacher evaluation system.
Oh, yes.
And if I could just speak to that. I mean, I think that for 99% of the people we evaluate, the purpose of evaluation is the improvement of instruction. And I don't see how counting attendance contributes to that. The system is just totally unfair. What has been proposed by the Education Secretary is that, well, the first 3 are free, but if you get to the 4th one, you're going to lose 4 points from your evaluation. Well, can you imagine a teacher in May, maybe with 1 or 2 days of school left, and they get sick, and they're at 3? They're going to, push themselves in. when they shouldn't be, and they're going to lose 4 points. If we used a similar evaluation system for our students, I think we would be severely criticized. I think the whole concept of using attendance as part of an evaluation is ill-founded. I think obviously teacher attendance is incredibly important. There are much better ways to encourage it and improve it if it needs to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Frank. I wholeheartedly agree. We've had this fight before, and we certainly need to have it again. So, do I need to take a vote on adding this one, do you think?
Madam President, I would suggest that if you
Just be included.
just include that in
Okay.
your original pull and act on them all as once. and
Okay,
The
so,
only thing that I would ask, Madam President, is that as part of your motion, whoever wants to make that motion, that you allow staff to make editorial changes as
Corrections.
necessary prior to sending them off to the school boards or whoever
And-
we're sending them to.
I did have like one teeny request on the, to enact gun reform to protect children, is to say, now, Mr. Gastro said, respect and support the Second Amendment, but I wouldn't dare go that far. I would just say, respect the Second Amendment.
On the gun control.
Yes, yes,
that
just
is
to add
res-
that, yeah, just to add that language,
Right.
respect.
Respect.
Support, no, but that's beside the point. So then I'm going to go ahead and make one giant motion adding the titles so that everyone knows what we're doing. The first one is requesting the New Mexico legislature to enact gun reform to protect children. Number 2, encouraging innovation and expanding access to early literacy experiences for 3 and 4-year-old students modeled after the successful K3+ program. Requesting the New Mexico legislature and public education department to recognize the importance of full-service community schools. Requesting deferred action of childhood arrivals and deferred action for parental accountability family assistance. Requesting the New Mexico legislature increase funding to public schools and provide adequate support for public schools as required by Article 12 of the New Mexico Constitution. Prompting civil public discourse. Requesting the New Mexico legislature change the opening day of the legislative session to begin in November for budget decisions related to House Bill 2. Requesting the New Mexico legislature to study and take action of the effects of high-stake testing on the education of the whole child. A resolution to work on bullying. Requesting the New Mexico legislature to revise the educator effectiveness evaluation. Requesting the New Mexico legislature to increase salaries for certified teachers. Request for adequate funding to provide transportation to our students. We should add air conditioning to that one too. Requesting to maintain funding from the New Mexico Land Grant and Severance Tax Permanent Fund at 5.8%, which was the original amount, I guess.
Yes, it was.
Requesting the New Mexico legislature revise conditions for teachers who have retired and returned to work to fill needed teaching vacancies as determined by the local education agency on an emergency basis. And the one that Mr. Frank just turned in, requesting that the Public Education Department and the New Mexico legislature consider the efficacy of excluding teacher attendance in the adopted teacher evaluation system. So that is 15. Do I have a motion to accept all 15 resolutions?
I so moved.
I will second it with the proviso that staff be allowed to make corrections, additions.
Yes. Okay, and so with that amendment to my motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so we pass these on back to you to do the appropriate corrections. And that takes us now to public input. We have one.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Bruce Hartman. I'm the president-elect of NEA Las Cruces. And Senora Flores and members of the board and Dr. Sanchez. NEA did a survey of our certified members, and we had about 500 people that responded. And one of the key parts of the survey was teacher attendance. And we really appreciate the board making this resolution. And one of the most frequent comments was about the use of attendance in teacher evaluation. And hundreds of teachers talked about not being able to take sick leave to care for loved ones and feeling coerced into going to school while ill. These are actual teacher comments. I just want to read two of them. The weight of attendance is heavy. I have a husband with cancer and 2 young children. I'm always stressed about my attendance. When I am absent, I have gone above and beyond to make sure my kids are taken care of and learning. I make up for it when I am back too. I work 5 times as hard. Another comment. I was rated minimal in 13-14 for missing the month of February while my twin brother was dying of cancer. I had taught 21 years at the time and had 350 sick hours available. I was penalized for using them. What has pulled? Our duly negotiated district contract or the state autocrats? This is one of many examples in my building alone. And we have many, many comments from teachers, and we are going to publish a report on this. Thank you.
You'll be sharing a copy with all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you for that work.
And Madam President, as we move forward to the legislative session, that's great to hear that NEA has collected that. That's the kind of information that we need, and actually to get this on the agenda. And the teacher's voice sometimes is not always listened to very carefully. But I would like to say that Mr. Morales, when he was in front of the Legislative Education Study Committee a couple of weeks ago, actually made a case for engaging a teacher panel, not one that is just brought in and you kind of say, oh, isn't that nice, but actually listening to them in an advisory capacity to the LESC. If NEA has any information like that, I sure would appreciate it, because the voice of real people makes the case.
We would be glad to share that information.
Thank you, Bruce.
We would be glad to share that with legislators during the legislative session. These are actual comments from teachers.
We forget that there's all these human elements to everyday lives. So thank you for that work. Just before closing, I'm going to take a point of personal. I want to once again extend condolences to Dr. Sanchez on the loss of his beautiful mother. I'm trying to remember her name. Lucy Sanchez. We were privileged to go and be there and support the family. Beautiful family. It was very sad, but at the same time, a very richly lived life by your mother. So just want you to know that if you need anything, we're here for you, and we support you.
Thank you.
Okay? So,
Thank you, all of you.
yes. So then I will now go ahead and entertain a motion to close this meeting.
So moved.
I'm the one that's going back to bed right away. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're adjourned.